Supercars, undoubtedly some of the craziest, fastest cars that there are, and the ultimate flex for those looking to flaunt their success. But what happens when supercar manufacturers focus on flex more than performance, or even when they focus on exoticness more than making a good car? You get these oddly popular cars that become propelled by clout to become known as the best in the world. They become one of those cars that you constantly hear about where you shouldn't drive your heroes because they won't live up to your expectations for one reason or another. What's going on, everybody? I'm Sean from Fitment Industries, Sean FI on Instagram, and today we're going to talk about the 5 most overrated supercars in the world to date. And make sure to stick around for the end of the video because the last car in this list is going to drop your jaw to the friggin' floor. But before we jump into the trigger mobile, please consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. We upload every single day and you're not going to want to miss any of it. And head over to fitmentindustries.com to get yourself entered into our giveaway to win yourself a set of rotoform freaking wheels. Let's get into it. First and foremost, let's start with a car that's known for being one of the most exotic production cars of this decade. And why do I give it that title? Well, because the way the Lamborghini wins the hearts of many. Non-car guy's favorite car, Aventador. Little kid's favorite car, Aventador. The list goes on and on. The Lamborghini Aventador is the flagship V12 model that you see in hundreds of music videos being driven by tons and tons of celebrities alike. And it makes an impression on everybody. But what if I told you they kinda suck? Yes, it's fast. It has 700 friggin' horsepower and it only weighs 3,500 pounds. It'll rocket through the quarter mile in under 11 seconds and has a Nürburgring lap time in supercar territory. However, you're also talking about a car that's slower on track than a C6 Corvette Z06. What you have here is your classic V12 Lamborghini formula. Big V12, slanty doors, big power, exotic sounds, and of course, a presence like no other. Sure, you'll get all the attention in the world, but as a car that in reality doesn't have any business on the track, it gives you a very, very harsh driving experience and is dripped in old technology. The transmission is old, clunky, and problematic. The interior, although covered in fantastic leather, holds a lot of Audi recycle bin parts, and you really can't see out of it. The reality is it's terrible at being a car. Now, most owners are 100% aware of this, so don't be coming at me and calling me a hater because I don't have one. I promise you that they will agree with me. The Lamborghini Aventador LP700-4 is not what everyone thinks it is. It is not the ultimate driving machine, and it is not a pleasant driving experience, but it is the ultimate attention grabber. That's all it's really good for, and for that reason, the Lamborghini Aventador LP700-4 is overhyped and overrated. Next up is one of the most beautiful cars to come out of BMW since the M1. And I'm of course referring to the BMW i8. The BMW i8 is a car that has supercar looks and supercar engineering. But when people see this thing, they freak out because it looks so damn good. It looks like it will rip your face off and perform on par with your modern entry-level supercars, like the McLaren 570. But then when you compare a car like the 570 to the performance of the i8, that's where you start to lose everybody. Where the 570 has a small displacement twin turbo V8, the BMW i8 is actually powered by a 1.5 liter turbocharged 3-cylinder, driving 231 horsepower to the rear wheels, with an electric hybrid system that drives its own 143 horsepower to the front wheels for a combined power number of 374 horsepower. And you see that face that you made right there? That's exactly why this car made the list, because of the way people assume that it's some sort of huge performance hypercar based on its looks and its price. For a measly $40,000 more, you could get yourself into a McLaren 570 with a couple hundred more horsepower. And if you didn't know any better, I get why you would think that these things are comparable. Now, don't get it twisted. I love the BMW i8 and everything that it stands for. The i8 is an engineering marvel. They still have a carbon fiber monocoque chassis, and it will still scream to 60 in 4 seconds and rip the drag strip in the mid-12s. She still rips, but it's just that initial assumption simply based on looks without knowledge that make people think these things are some crazy $300,000 machine of speed. And for that reason, the BMW i8 is overhyped, marginally overpriced, and overrated. The next one's gonna have to go to the Mercedes SLR McLaren. In 2003, Mercedes owned 40% of McLaren Group, and they decided to leverage their expertise in carbon fiber composites and suspension to build a featherweight super GT car. The SLR McLaren paved the way for many technologies that we now really take for granted. Carbon ceramic brakes and a carbon fiber reinforced composite body were used to keep weight down and performance up. A hand-built supercharged 5.4 liter V8 making 600 and 17 horsepower and 580 foot-pounds of torque was also developed for this car, which was absolutely unheard of at the time. Followed by fender exit exhaust, a functional Ram Air Mercedes emblem, and vents everywhere. This thing was as cool as it gets for the time. However, even packed with all kinds of weight-saving tech, this car still weighed north of 3,800 friggin' pounds. And the SBC braking, which was a brake-by-wire system, had an incredible bite, but it was also very clunky and hard to use outside of high-speed, high-aggression situations. This is an absolute brute of a car, but it doesn't really do anything particularly well outside of going fast in a straight line. In fact, they didn't even sell as well as expected at the time of release. When the SLR was first announced, McLaren said total production would be limited to 3,500 units, but they ended up only producing a little over 2,100 cars based on low annual sales. Now, as a Mercedes and AMG enthusiast myself, I find this car to be absolutely incredible, but it's the price these cars have risen to that's a real turnoff for me. These cars are selling for $200,000 on the cheap side, and average pricing is in the 300s, with limited production variants in the $500,000 and up range, which is absolutely mind-blowing considering you can get a ton of the mechanical bit for a fraction of the price. You can get yourself into a 2006 SL55 AMG with the same 8-piston calipers but with steel brakes, and a very similar supercharged 5.4 liter with a little bit less horsepower for $15,000, which is 5% of the cost of an SLR McLaren. And that, to me, is why the SLR McLaren is overpriced and overrated. Hell, and we couldn't get through this list without talking about the poster car champion of the world, the Lamborghini Countach. The Countach is one of those cars that, like the crazy Aventador, was touted as being the craziest of the crazy and the quickest of the quick and the most unworldly exotic car for an entire generation. Now, the Countach is undoubtedly deserving of that reputation, but again, like the Aventador, it's only as quick as a $15,000 C6 Corvette and handles much worse. Its aggressive nature also makes it stiff and unforgiving to drive, and it being Italian makes it a bit unreliable unless you really use it a lot. And maybe even worse of all, their achievements were inflated. Test cars that were used to document top speed, acceleration, and even given to media teams were modified to be lighter and make more power than the actual production car. Lamborghini did everything that they could to beat Ferrari on paper. So with that, why is this car so damn sought after and so damn expensive? Well, it's because of nostalgia. Memories of these cars themselves are much more extravagant than the cars. So when they become old enough to kind of become more classic as opposed to outdated, the popularity inevitably rises, and so does the price. The Lamborghini Countach is a classic supercar whose price reflects its ability to draw the attention of strangers and not its real-world performance or drivability. And for that reason, the Lamborghini Countach is overhyped and overrated. The last car on this list is absolutely near and dear to my heart, and it pains me a lot to have to put it on this list, but I cannot shadow the truth that is, so here it goes. The 2005 and 2006 Ford GT is overrated. The Ford GT is a car that took the world by storm when it came out. A mid-engine, 550 horsepower street legal supercar from Ford with a modified truck engine? How appropriately lazy and simultaneously awesome of them. This was the biggest deal in USDM automotive history since the original GT40, and it was surprisingly affordable compared to its competition and even other replica GT40s. The Ford GT's base price was just $137,000. That's about $40,000 cheaper than a slower, less reliable Lamborghini Gallardo at the time. But oddly enough, whereas the Gallardo continues to depreciate, the Ford GT is appreciating in value. We're talking about doubling its MSRP. Ford GTs with some miles are now selling around $300,000. You could have essentially bought one of these new and gotten paid to drive it and own it for the last 15 years. And I get why everybody loves these cars. It's a blown V8 in a straight up race car chassis, taking inspiration from the beautiful GT40 at peak retro futuristic design demand. It nailed the classic looks and had fantastic modern supercar performance. There's no doubting the success of the Ford GT, but where I start to question the car's legitimacy is in the inflated price. In the $300,000 price bracket, you're looking at choosing a 2005 Ford GT over things like a 488 Pista or an A12 Superfast, or even the fire-breathing 911 GT2 RS. So why is it up there in price with these sort of cars? Usually I can make some sort of snark remark about nostalgia or something like that, but what I truly think is happening here is some investors who call themselves collectors are hoarding, trading, and inflating these cars' values for personal gain. We saw the same thing happen with the air-cooled Porsche bubble, and that's a real damn shame that the collector car market can be influenced like that. 4GT is a fantastic supercar, but not $300,000 inflated dollar fantastic. And for that reason, the 2005 and 2006 4GT is overpriced, overhyped, and overrated. But that about wraps up this special supercar episode of Over Under. Be sure to leave a comment about what supercars you think are overrated and what you think I got completely wrong. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. We upload every single freaking day. And if that's not enough for you, we even started a second channel called Fitment Industries Garage because we couldn't fit all of this content onto this one. So make sure to check that out from the link in the description. And of course, head over to fitmentindustries.com for all of your wheel, tire, and suspension needs. And while you're there, don't forget to check out the giveaway where you can enter to win a set of Rotoform frickin' wheels. I'll leave a link to that in the description as well. I'm Sean from Fitment Industries, SeanB.fi on Instagram. Please don't hate me. Peace.